Hey, what is going on, guys? Xpertfusion here, and today I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming, giving you guys my full review on this movie that just came out yesterday, part of the MCU Marvel Cinematic Universe. And man, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, it was a fucking incredible movie. And I would have to say my favorite Spider-Man movie so far. Not my favorite MCU movie, though. Civil War, Captain America Civil War still beats this movie. I still think that movie is almost nearly a masterpiece. But Spider-Man Homecoming will be a nice second place if I was to do ranking all the MCU movies. And man, this movie was fucking incredible. But there are some things I had, problems with within the movie. And of course, I'm going to go over the, criticisms I've had. But the criticisms, they don't diminish the movie in that bad of a way, not like most criticisms would be for other movies. And they're just kind of like minor, nitpicks, stuff that I wish would be better but isn't, but it's not like that big of a deal. Starting off with the end battle against the Vulture, I felt like it was a little underwhelming, and I felt like it could have gone a little bit better. And now this isn't like a story element, this is more of just me being an action junkie and just wanting more action throughout the movie. And we did get a good amount, but I feel like this is the end battle. We should get this big thing happening, but we didn't really get something huge. It was more of just Spider-Man being like, alright, I gotta get on this damn plane and stop the Vulture from getting out of here. And he stops the plane, Vulture smacks him in the sand a few times, and then Spider-Man is able to web him up, or well, after he saves him from almost dying in the explosion, he webs him up and, captures the Vulture basically. And, it was just kind of underwhelming. I feel like it would have worked a lot better if the Vulture maybe, because there's a carnival right next to them. How cool would that be if the Vulture went to like the Ferris wheel or something, or was trying to get up with the package with this, he's carrying it with his feet, and he would be flying up, and then Spider-Man would web up and get out of the rubble or whatever rubble he was in. I forget, but whatever, get up and then web up there, and then they would have like a fight around the Ferris wheel, and there'd be other people there. They'd be running away from this, mayhem. They'd be blowing stuff up. Maybe the Ferris wheel would like come out like loose from its tracks and it would start rolling, or some crazy shit. Or maybe Shocker would come with his men, and they would be involved in the fight, and it would be this big end battle that would finish up the movie nicely. And then they can still end it the same way, where Spider-Man defeats most of the people, webs them up, whatever, and then Michael Keaton, or Adrian, which was his name, the Vulture, tries to escape, and his suit almost blows up, and Spider-Man saves him from it, and then he gets prison. Same thing that happened at the end of the film, but obviously in a different way. And if they did that, it would just work together perfectly, and it would be a lot more entertaining, that final fight, than just being blatant like that. You know what I mean? Another complaint I had before I even saw the movie, I had a couple of complaints before I even saw the movie, but then when I saw the movie, they ended up not being that big of a deal, and I kind of forgave those criticisms. One of them was Flash. Flash is supposed to be, he's not a big part of the movie, but he's supposed to be this big, scary jock guy that's like obviously a someone Peter is terrified of, and that's what it's supposed to be. But they went in a different route and made Flash more of a nerdy kid just like him, but he's jealous almost, and he kind of is a dick to Peter just because of his jealousy. He's not physically mean, he's just more mentally mean, which it works. It's just not what Flash is supposed to be for Spider-Man films. It's not what they did for the last two, but they made him different, and I guess it works better because he is a sophomore, and they are in a smart school. A dumb jock like Flash wouldn't really fit in a smart school, so making another nerd like him, who kind of seems jealous of him for the majority of the movie, and he seems very jealous, because even when he says he knows Spider-Man, he's always like, oh, you don't know Spider-Man, and then he actually asks Spider-Man when he sees him, which is interesting. But I actually enjoyed him more than I thought I would, because of, I don't know, I guess the actor just did a pretty good job, but overall they made him how he should be. He should be annoying, he should be a dick, but he, wasn't any type of bully that I was expecting, and honestly it worked, and I'm fine with it. It worked fine. Another thing I had kind of a problem with before I even saw the movie was the insane amount of diversity the movie is trying to accomplish with its characters. Now, this isn't, like I said, this isn't that big of a deal to me, because who really cares what the race of the characters are? I really don't care that much. But when literally more than half of the cast, even more than I think 70% of the main characters are African American or black or whatever they are, and like other than white, basically is what I'm trying to say here. It gets a little like you kind of just forced it in. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it feels like, but it doesn't really diminish the movie at all. It doesn't take away anything from the film. It's just kind of more of a like a nitpick that I'm just like, I kind of wish they wouldn't be pushing so hard for diversity. It's not really necessary. It's kind of just like they force it in, and you could tell they force it in. I mean, it could be coincidental for sure, but since it's owned by Disney now, I'm gonna have to deal with them doing stuff like that because Disney is very, 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 very on the liberal side of things. But it's something. It's not that big of a deal, like I said, but it just kind of pisses me off when I'm like, all right, like. 80% of the characters are black, and then they even make comments about racial things later on in the movie. It's like you really don't have to make that the theme in the movie. It's a Spider-Man film. Just make it a Spider-Man film, please. Like literally, his friend is like he's not black, but he's like non-white. Is what I'm trying to say. Like he's kind of dark. You know what I mean? His love interest is not white. His other friend is not white. One of the villains is not white. The villain's wife is not white. The principal is not white. The coach is not. I mean, it's just a little weird to me. It's not like that big of a deal, like I said, but it's just strange, and it just I feel like it doesn't fit. But there are a lot of blacks in New York, so I guess you can say that makes sense to me. I don't know, but I don't really care about realism. I just care about it being not trying to push diversity so hard. But that's not a big issue, like I said. Another kind of small nitpick I had, which I guess I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I just wish it was different, is the fact that they skipped over the origin story completely. Now, I know, we've seen it twice, and that's what everyone says. All the people say it's a good thing that they skipped over the origin story because we don't want to see it again. But the thing is, we're not seeing it again. We're seeing it with a new character, a new actor, a new Spider-Man, in a new universe, and everything is different. And seeing it again, as much as it would seem repetitive, it would also be like, all right, well, you get so much more connected to your character. Seeing Uncle Ben's death makes you so much more connected to Aunt May, because I feel like I wasn't connected to Aunt May at all in this film. Seeing how he got these powers and his first reactions to them makes you more connected to the character. I mean, I was very connected to the character because we've seen him a lot more than Aunt May, but it would just enhance that, and that's what I loved about The Amazing Spider-Man. They really focused on his origin story so thoroughly to the point where it really made for a big difference in the later films, and it actually made me enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man very, very much. They did it in Spider-Man 1 as well, but I know it's hard because we've already seen it before. How are you going to fit it in? And it could have been difficult. But I think, honestly, what they could have done is they could have added a 20-minute intro, maybe, of just kind of like a montage, sort of him getting his powers first, and Uncle Ben dying, and just kind of skipping through it a little bit, like just showing us the broad strokes of it, but not really going in depth with it, and then showing the whole, him going to Civil War and recording it with his phone, and then go into the Vulture stuff, and then just go into the film. I know it'd be longer, but there's probably some stuff you could have cut out in the movie. I'm sure there's some longer scenes out there. Yeah, there's a couple long scenes that kind of drag on that you could have cut out, and overall, I mean, you could have made a long movie. Who fucking cares if it's a 2.5-hour movie, even pushing 3 hours? Who cares? It's something I feel like I really missed not having an origin story. But it's obvious because we've seen it before, and that's why they didn't want to do it again. And a lot of MCU characters don't really get origin stories anymore, not as much as superheroes used to. But that's in the past, so that's the bad stuff. But going on to the good stuff, I mean, obviously. One thing I loved was the acting. The acting was amazing. I mean, acting is always going to be good in these top-tier movies. But in particular, Tom Holland as Spider-Man is definitely the best Spider-Man and Peter Parker we've ever had. He's better than Andrew and Tobey. I would say Andrew, I think, is still better than Tobey, but Tom Holland beats both of them. Now, a lot of people disagree with me on that. People always say, oh, Tobey's the best because he's the first. Well, you're not the best just because you're the first. That's not how it works. You can be beaten later on in life. That's very, very possible. And Tobey was good, but he just, first of all, he was way too old. I mean, he was just way too old. He was a pretty good Peter Parker for the most part. I mean, he didn't look like it. He kind of looked like a nerd, but he kind of looked like an older nerd, like from like the 1970s. He didn't look like a current day, like 2000 nerd, because that movie came out in 2002. and it didn't seem real to me. His Spider-Man wasn't the best. I mean, that's just because of the writing. It's not really the actor's fault. Kind of like just the writing making him speak more, because Spider-Man says funny jokes. He speaks when he's fighting. That's how it's supposed to be, and that's what they did in The Amazing Spider-Man, and that's what I think made Andrew feel like, oh, he was a better Spider-Man than Tobey. And then Tom Holland, they just made it even better by making him even younger. I mean, of course the actor's like 19 or 20, but in the show, or in the movie, he's meant to be 15, which is perfect, because that means we're going to get a longer time with Tom Holland. That means we're going to get at least another 15 years of movies with him. Maybe 4 Spider-Man films, maybe 5, I don't know, maybe, a couple other films in there. Maybe he'll take cameo appearances in other MCU movies, and of course he's going to be in Avengers Infinity War in both parts. And, maybe they'll even give us some sort of a Sinister Six film along the way that'll probably have cameos of Spider-Man. Something like that would be amazing, and I think that's what Tom Holland, being this young actor, is really going to be able to do. And seeing him grow up as Spider-Man is going to be so much better than seeing Tobey and Andrew grow up as Spider-Man, because they were already pretty old. They weren't growing up, but Tom is in the period of time where he's growing up, and seeing him go from Spider-Man 1 to probably Spider-Man 3 or 4 is going to be incredible. And as much as this movie didn't feel epic and amazing, like, if you notice, Spider-Man wasn't that high up. He wasn't in New York the whole movie. He wasn't doing all the crazy shit like Spider-Man would be doing in most movies, like swinging his webs and freaking top of the Empire State Building and all that type of crazy shit. He wasn't doing that in this movie. He was staying low to the ground. He was kind of chilling. He wasn't going crazy with his powers, and that's a good thing. I think taking baby steps with Spider-Man is a smart thing. Instead of just pushing him, right away to doing this crazy type of stuff, making him slowly become amazing into the Amazing Spider-Man, basically, is something that the other films weren't able to do. They literally made Spider-Man incredible in the first film. And I think giving it time, making it go through as him, growing up and getting better with his powers, is incredible. And I love his suit, man. His suit is awesome. Now, I was not feeling, the suit beforehand when I first saw Civil War, because I was like, I don't want Spider-Man to rely on his suit the whole time, and I really don't want, his actual powers to just be kind of left under the radar and just the suit kind of be taking him over, kind of like Iron Man. It's just his suit. I mean, that's obviously what Iron Man is. I don't hold it against Iron Man, but Spider-Man's supposed to be amazing even without the suit. And I was kind of sad that the suit was kind of doing 95% of the work for most of the movie. But the thing is, they did what I hoped they were going to do, where he gets his suit taken away by Iron Man, and he has to fight the Vulture without it. Incredible. That is exactly what I wanted them to do, and it really showed that he can still do good even without his suit. And that's what I loved about it, because they actually showed his incredible powers, and he was able to find himself, honestly, in those few times in that movie, in the few fights he was in without his suit. And with his suit, though, it was funny. I mean, especially talking to Karen, or the system in his suit that talks to him. It was just so funny seeing him talk. And I mean, that's another thing with the movie. It was a hilarious, really funny movie. I love movies that don't, call themselves comedies, but end up being hilarious. Like this, it doesn't call itself a comedy. It's a fucking superhero movie, but it ends up being so funny because, I don't know, the dialogue is just funny. And talking to Karen in the one room, the place that he was stuck in for a while, it was just funny, and I had a good time. It was good. It was good. My favorite scene in the movie, surprisingly, is not an action scene. Favorite fucking scene, the most intense thing ever. I mean, my jaw dropped at this twist, was when we found out that the Vulture is in fact Liz's dad. I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. Like, that was not expected. I mean, some people said that we were expecting it. I was not expecting that at all. I was like, what? At first I thought the Vulture was in the house holding Liz hostage or something. Maybe because he found out, who Spider-Man was, and that, in fact, he is, in love with this girl. He's going to prom or whatever, homecoming, with this girl. So it all lined up. I was like, all right, so maybe the Vulture's coming here and doing this. But then I'm like, wait, no, that's her dad. And then I'm like, oh shit. And that's when it got intense. And then when they went in the car, and she was just telling him all this stuff about him knowing Spider-Man and him miraculously disappearing on all these occasions, and him, you know, the Vulture starting to realize, holy shit, this is Spider-Man. Peter is Spider-Man, because he can hear the voice, he can hear what Liz is saying, and he's just putting two and two together. And then he takes out the gun when Liz goes inside, and he's like, if you mess with my business again, I will kill you and everyone you love. Fucking phenomenal job by the actor there, and phenomenal writing too. Every piece of dialogue sounded so real, and sounded so intense, and just made the scene, it was beautifully done, beautifully done. I was literally had chills the whole scene, and Spider-Man, of course, couldn't let that go, so he still went after him and saved his life. And I fucking love the ending when he saves his life, and then in the after credits scene, when the Scorpion guy asks, you know, I heard you know who he really is, and then he's like, no, if I knew, he would be dead, and basically covering up for Peter because Peter saved his life. So, you know, Vulture stuck up for him at the end there, and I really, really liked that. It was kind of the opposite of what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a repeat of Spider-Man 1, where the Vulture was going to get himself killed, and then Liz was going to find out Spider-Man did it, and she was going to want revenge or something, and then she was going to go like all Rambo or some shit. I don't know, maybe get a Catwoman outfit or something. That'd be actually kind of cool if Liz became Catwoman. Or Black Cat. No, not Catwoman, Black Cat. Catwoman is from the Batman universe. Black Cat is from Spider-Man. I could see Liz as Black Cat. That actually makes sense. But I don't even think Liz is going to be in the new one, because obviously at the end you can see she's leaving. And there looks like they're setting it up for, instead of Peter being with Liz as a love interest in the second movie, it looks like they're setting it up with Peter being with Michelle, or MJ, because she calls herself MJ, and she gives Peter that look. I mean, the whole movie she seems like she has some kind of a crush on Peter, and I think it's going to happen. I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't care. Michelle is alright, you know, MJ, whatever you want to call her. I think that could be a good love interest between the two. But the only thing is, it doesn't really work exactly how Spider-Man's supposed to be. Spider-Man's supposed to get the girl that is like the popular girl in school and wouldn't usually go out with a nerd, but Michelle is obviously a nerd, so it wouldn't really work out in the way that Spider-Man usually goes. But like I said, it's not that big of a deal if they go and do something that Spider-Man usually doesn't do. I'm completely fine with that, as long as it works and they have good chemistry together, because they do have good chemistry together. That's the thing. I definitely think it works. And yeah, I'm really hoping Spider-Man Homecoming 2, or whatever they call the second one, the sequel of it, it really focuses a lot on Peter himself, like they did in this movie, because obviously he's the main character, but also his love interest, because in this movie they didn't really go too deep with love. They really didn't. I mean, he didn't even kiss the girl. I mean, it was in the trailer, but he didn't end up doing it in the movie, and that was a little surprising to me. I thought maybe he would reveal to Liz that he's Spider-Man. Maybe she'd want to stay back or something. I thought something like that was going to happen. I thought he was going to reveal that he was Spider-Man to at least somebody, but he didn't until the end. And then Aunt May finds him in the Spider-Man suit, and she's like, what the fuck? That was hilarious. I love that scene. But obviously he could play it off. He could be like, it's a costume. I'm not actually Spider-Man, or some crazy shit like that. I don't know. But it definitely is cool, Aunt May knowing that he's Spider-Man. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that works in the new films. But actually, they're going to have to resolve that, because Avengers 3 is going to be before Spider-Man Homecoming 2. So, and Spider-Man's probably going to be in that, you know. Well, he is going to be in it, we already know, but we don't know what kind of a role he's going to play in it. Is he going to help in the war? Is he going to be part of it? I don't know, because Spider-Man's Spider-Man. You really think Aunt May's going to let him go out in a freaking war against evil, you know, beings like Thanos, who can easily kill him? So, I don't know how that's going to work, but we'll have to wait and see. Overall, great movie. I'm going to see it again tomorrow, and I can't wait to see it again. That's just how great of a movie it was. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in my next one, and peace out.